dad lives. So my ball had rolled underneath that little house, which was set on pillars. It was open in the bottom. My ball went in there, and when I reached trying to get it, I felt a square of cement. I called my dad. He told us that it was a grave. That could be it too, I mean, there was a lot of souls out there. I don't know. It's hard to understand.
Throughout her life, Carrie had experienced a series of strange paranormal presences, entities that she thinks are attached to the places she has lived in, shadow figures and noises, eerie feelings that come out at night. My name is Edwin, and here is Carrie's true, scary story.
When I was 3 years old, we moved to our first property. I didn't start to have things happen until I was older, 6 or 7. Our bedroom was just one big room, and our parents put a divider wall in, so we each had our own room. We had the lounge room, and across the hall was my parents' room. I would wake up during the night to having that sensation or that feeling that somebody was either standing at the end of my bed or right next to my bed where my head was on my pillow. I would never see anything, any shadows or anything like that. It was just solely the sensation, and it would wake me. I never used to get scared. I used to just think it was a guardian angel or something like that. When I was born, my mum used to tell me the story that the night I was born, my great uncle had been killed in a car accident. It was hours apart between him dying and me being born. My dad, we had to go up to the old house. We were getting a few things out that we'd stored in there. As we were walking out the front gate, my husband, my boyfriend at the time, he described one of my mum's aunties. And I said, "Oh, you're joking because you just seen a picture inside." And he's like, "No, I just physically seen her as we were walking out the front gate." So she had displayed her face, and he just seen everything about her, the curly hair, the short stature, the round face, everything. He described her to a T. I wasn't scared. As I got older, I started to go through secondary school. We moved house. During that transition period of finding another house, we moved into that old house at my grandparents' place. When we got there, the whole vibe, I could feel it, I could sense it. Everything about it put me off. But they had those old pictures, like back in the day, where they couldn't smile or anything. It was just like a portrait. Although they were family, the vibe and the sense that I got from them, I just couldn't handle it. I had to take them all down and move them to a room that wasn't being used. I sensed that someone was there, that we weren't alone, but I couldn't physically see them. I could hear them and I could feel them. I could hear the walking around. I actually mentioned to my parents once that I felt someone was following us everywhere we went, because it didn't matter what house we were in. I either sensed that somebody was with us, or I could hear what sounded like somebody walking around. Somebody was next to my bed or at the end of my bed. We lived in that house for about 12 months while my parents found another property to buy. My parents found another property. I'd finished school by this stage. My brother had gone to college. We'd be doing our everyday thing. Come nighttime, it would be the same thing. And it would always be really late at night, early morning stage. I would wake up to this sensation that somebody was next to my bed or at the end of my bed. This was most nights. It was nearly every night. My boyfriend, now husband, was staying over. One night we were in bed and he started talking in his sleep. It took me a minute to realise that it wasn't English that he was speaking, it was gibberish. I nudged him to try and get him to just roll over and, stop talking, but it didn't work. I nudged him again and he wouldn't budge. I gave him a third shove a little bit harder. His eyes open and they were glowing that yellow-green colour. It completely freaked me out and I was starting to just lay into him, like hitting, punching. He goes, "Why are you hitting me?" I remember it like it was yesterday, but it was years ago. I said, "Your eyes were glowing green. You were talking gibberish. Your eyes opened and they were glowing green." And he didn't have any recollection of anything. I was so adamant and it freaked me completely out. And it was that night that I seen my first shadow in the corner of my room. Had me on edge. After that, we moved around a few times. It did settle down for a while. And then we moved to where we are now. We got married, we've had kids, we've got 3 boys. We moved to the house that we're in now. That's when things started to pick up, was when we moved to this house. I'd been out to get takeaway dinner one night. I had my son in the back seat with me. As I came around the corner to where our shed is, I seen a shadow man. He had a coat on. It was just a black shadow. I could make out that he had a black coat on and he had a top hat. He was just hiding behind one of the trees we have in our garden, peeking around. I could see where he was standing. It was next to the footpath and behind this tree. I went inside, I told my husband I just seen a shadow man out by the tree in the garden near the shed. We had the room that we had our oldest son in every night without fail around the 1 o'clock mark.
Reddit internet sleuths arrived at the same conclusion. It's believed the transmitter was used to overpower the signal sent by the TV network. This transmitter was likely located somewhere high up, like a rooftop, between the TV network and the transmitter. In order to enact the hijacking, the overpowering transmitter had to be extremely powerful. Eventually, the FCC figured out that the background of the Max Headroom video was a warehouse. They tracked down a district with similar warehouse doors. The investigation went nowhere. Since 1987, several names have been thrown around as suspects, but nothing concrete. If those responsible are ever found, they would not be charged with anything. The 5-year statute of limitations came and went in 1992, and still no one was identified. It's been 36 years and the hijacking still remains a mystery.
As far as I can tell, a massive electric shock. He died instantly.
The Max Headroom incident may be the most notorious TV hijacking, but it's not the first or last. Just a year before Max, HBO was subject to a hijacking. The Falcon and the Snowman was airing just past midnight. East Coast HBO subscribers watched as the movie was cut off, and then a message appeared in its place. Good evening, HBO, from Captain Midnight. $12.95 a month? No way. Incident in a phone booth and filed a police report. John McDougall was an electrical engineer. He owned a TV satellite business but had to get a second job as a master control operator to make ends meet. He blamed HBO's rising prices, and his second job gave him access to hijack HBO. He was found guilty of transmitting without a radio license and was charged $5,000 as a fine and a year of probation. After Captain Midnight, satellite jamming became a felony. These broadcast signal intrusions are confusing and bizarre for viewers. I don't know if you've ever seen one. But because screens go black, it's easier to identify as a hijacking. Other intrusions have been just as creepy, but more difficult to identify as fake. Sometimes when we're